This is my repentance. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm coming home.
My name is Joe Moore. I'm 38 years old from Gulf Shores, Alabama. February 15th, I had court in Gulf Shores for about my 7th DUI. So I was sentenced there for 60 days in jail. So the judge said if I could get into a rehab from my jail cell, he would allow me to go. Through that, Operation Lost Sheep and John Clover was coming to Gulf Shores Jail to help people that were looking for a way out and looking to get some help. And so I met him there and started the journey of trying to see what some options were. Been dealing with a lot of alcoholism for the past 20 years, a lot of depression and suicidal thoughts. So it was more of just looking for a way out, essentially, and a way out of jail at the moment. But we ended up getting in touch with Home of Grace, who is Operation Lost Sheep, has worked with them quite a bit. And it was a paid program. What was interesting about the whole situation was I was calling my parents to let them know not to worry about trying to get me into a rehab, that I was just going to do my time in jail. They didn't answer the phone, but about 10 minutes later, one of the officers came in and let me know that I had a phone interview with the Home of Grace. So I did the phone interview. They said that I was accepted there, but I was still really much on the fence about it. And called my parents that night and was still not really wanting them to pay for a rehab. And I really wasn't sure about a Christian-based rehab at that point in time. So I kind of slept on it. Well, the next day, someone came in that had to turn in their graduation certificate to the judge from Home of Grace. And I was really kind of fussing about it during breakfast, and he ended up talking to me and telling me all about the program and how great it was, and I really need to give it a chance, and that he actually had a $500 off voucher for me to use if I decided to go. So at that point, I was just like, okay, let's go. Let's see what the Home of Grace is all about. And John Clover was able to pick me up from the jail and transfer me over.
You are not hidden. Never been a moment.
So I arrived at the Home of Grace, and of course, I definitely still had my walls up and a lot of hesitation about it being a faith-based program. I grew up, my dad was a pastor, so I grew up in the church, but definitely went the opposite direction as soon as I was able to leave it. So I really didn't have faith left at all. I believe that God didn't love me anymore. The first couple of weeks there, you start your classes and you're hearing all of it, but something that really kind of affected me was the music in chapel. The first night, there was a song that came on, and it was "I'll Rescue You." And at that point, I was kind of like, all right, I hear you talking, God, I hear you, but I was still, my hands and my walls were still up about it. So the more classes and stuff I had and doing counseling, really realized a lot of addiction, and my addiction especially, was rooted in some really deep issues and things of the past that I was really trying to cover up. There was one night at chapel, and I really felt like the pastor there was just speaking directly to me. And it was so funny, he was talking about this guy named Joe, the alcoholic. And of course, I'm Joe, and I was an alcoholic. So it was just, his message really spoke to me, and I felt the Holy Spirit that night. I really felt the conviction in the Holy Spirit, just like, Joe, just let it go. Just lay it all down at the cross. So I really made the decision that night that I actually wanted to live instead of going through the motions. And as soon as that happened, it was an instant change for me. I definitely felt the Holy Spirit start working in my life. My whole mentality changed. The change was almost instantly that I felt the presence of God in my life, and peace and joy that I'd never experienced, I don't think, before in my entire life, especially over the past 20 years of my active alcohol addiction. all the cravings, the wants were gone. There was peace for me mentally that, carrying all this baggage and all this grief and resentments, it was just like a veil had been lifted. It's not just putting a Band-Aid on your addiction. It's really breaking down and giving you a new way to live your life. I was an alcoholic. Now I identify as a child of God, and that's really the shift that helps in your life. Your past can stay your past, and you can move forward with your life and not let it define you. The time was coming very close for me to graduate there from the Home of Grace, and I was really praying for God to open the doors that needed to be open and close the ones that didn't. A part of me still wanted to come back and live the beach life and live that life. But through prayers and everything, God really showed me, like, why would you want to go back and live in your past? Put yourself in the lion's den every day and have that constant temptation in your life. And God actually closed those doors. Graduation day happened, everything. It was a really miraculous experience to see the light in my parents' eyes and the joy from everyone there, seeing the transformation that had happened in my life, and that it's not just the addiction is gone, but there's a whole change in my whole life and who I am. And I had to come back and go back in front of the judge, and really I had the opportunity to give the judge my testimony and share what God had done in my life and putting people in my life like Operation Lost Sheep and kind of guiding me in the right direction so you can live life abundantly and have a great life, and not just live, but actually have a life worth living. The old me was washed away during my baptism. I got baptized at the Home of Grace on Easter. That old part of me was gone. So I'm actually working now on possibly becoming an addiction counselor and moving forward with Christ and in my walk with Christ, or doing some type of missionary work, and plan on moving to the Louisiana area to see what God has in store for me there. If you're on the fence about going to a faith-based recovery, just know you have an opportunity to actually change your life